Welcome back to Let the Boys Watch, an entertainment podcast brought to you by Going Great Productions. I am one of your hosts. My name is Robbie. And today we'll be talking about the 1999, I don't even know what genre it is.
Cult
Fight Club.
classic?
Cult classic, fucked up,
Thriller?
thriller, drama, comedy. Well,
Satire?
satire, yeah. Well, it's the 1999 film Fight Club, directed by David Fincher, starring Edward Norton, Brad Pitt, Helena Bonham Carter, Jared Leto, and my favorite dish, meatloaf. Alongside me is Angel Face number one, cousin Benny. How you doing?
Hello, hello.
And alongside us is Angel Face number two, our good buddy and one of our co-hosts, Ryan. How you doing?
I'm good. How's my favorite space monkey?
Doing great.
Love it. Yeah, so like Robbie said, we're talking about David Fincher's Fight Club based on a book which was written by Chuck Palahniuk. If you were curious how to say his name, he's written a number of books and had a couple, I think definitely two, because I've seen Choke, but a couple movies and things like that come out based on his books. Benny has not seen this movie in a while. Robbie has never seen this movie. And Ryan, me, hasn't seen it in, I don't know, 10 years-ish, something along those lines. So definitely sort of fresh for all of us. But I'm curious, before getting into it and before getting into that, please send us an email. LTBW podcast at gmail.com. We have one this week. I love it. Please send us what you think about Fight Club, or follow us on Instagram, Let the Boys Watch Pod, and then you'll see what movie we're going to do, and then you can send us an email about it. I think that's pretty easy.
Very easy. We're
Very
holding your hand
easy.
over here.
I know. I mean, I will hold your hand because I love holding hands. But what I want to know first is, Robbie, since you've never seen it, what were your impressions or what were your thoughts going into this movie? You know, you must have heard some stuff about it going in, maybe 20 years ago, but what'd you think?
Yeah, I haven't really, heard a lot about it, so I didn't know what to think about it going in. Obviously, the title, Fight Club, you're thinking it's about just a fucking bunch of dudes fighting each other. So I didn't know really what it was about. Like, obviously, I want to say, like, I've known my brother-in-law, The Wiz, since probably junior high, but like I haven't known him as like an actual individual, like close personal friend. So I've known him now for like what, almost 15 years. And every year he brings it up maybe 5 or 6 times a year to watch Fight Club. And I say, yeah. I'm gonna watch it. And I haven't. And then we started this podcast and here I am watching it. So I'm not gonna get into, what I thought about the actual movie. We'll get into that later. But I didn't expect what I expected when watching this movie. It was quite the surprise. Yeah, I thought it was about a fight club, and I didn't know it was about all these other, underlying issues and societal issues. So, yeah, I'm not going to say what I thought about it because I'm going to save that obviously after this fantastic email. But yeah, I just thought it was a fight club and just a couple of dudes rolling around after seeing that iconic fucking poster of Brad Pitt's fantastic fucking six pack.
The sexy six pack. And so I know we'll get into it later, but were you not spoiled about I guess you could call it a twist? So was that surprising to you? Or are there a number of things surprising to you?
Well, I have to get a spoiler alert because I knew the twist before watching this movie.
Damn
But
it.
it didn't change my perception. I am the idiot who probably looked it up 5 years ago, knowing I was never going to watch it. But it didn't change my ratings or anything.
Gotcha. Okay. Just curious. So before we get into the like overall impressions and plum scores, I did mention we got a fantastic email from one of our maybe loyalist listener, I'd say. Benny, would you want to read it for us?
Yeah, this is from the first lady of reservations, Queen of
Wow.
House Dick to the Knee.
The
Queen
queen.
Carbonara, I called her because she made some fantastic carbonara
Nice.
last night.
Nice.
But before I do,
The
Ryan,
Countess of Carbonara.
yes, the Duchess of doing cooking. Um, Ryan, did you read the book?
I did.
Yeah, me too. I read Choke too, but I forgot 100% what that was about.
I read Choke also, and I feel like I remember liking Choke a little bit better. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, me too.
I read those again like 20 years ago. I don't remember shit. Like I had to like refresh my memory a little bit.
Isn't reading books such a waste of time? All these years later, you don't even remember what the hell the thing was about.
I honestly like what most books, I just remember if I like them or not, and like kind of
Yeah.
like how they made me feel. It's like that stupid saying, like, people won't remember what you said or did, but how you made them feel. Like that's
Yeah.
kind of how I feel about a lot of books.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into this one. The email is entitled "Let's Talk About Fight Club." Aya says, "Hello, boys. I'm interested to hear how Robbie finds this film after naming David Fincher as one of his top directors, as I think Fight Club is definitely in contention for his magnum opus. Admittedly, it's been a while since I last saw the movie, but it was interesting rewatching it at this age, fitted with all the analysis heard about it, especially the one that Fight Club is technically a feminist film, as it tackles the fact that toxic masculinity is a destructive force. I think that's why this movie endures, because of all the discourse it elicits up till today. Even though it seems like a straightforward satire, there's so many levels for examination. But this also leads to people missing the point of the movie, and Fight Club is usually seen as a red flag when a guy proclaims it as his favorite movie, much like Clockwork Orange and Joker. Shots fired from I here.
Oh my goodness.
David
She's not
Fincher.
wrong though.
No, she isn't. David Fincher was even quoted alluding to this sentiment. When my daughter was about 9 years old, says Fincher, I went to a school function and she said, "Oh, I want you to meet my friend Max. Fight Club is his favorite movie." I took her aside and said, "You are no longer to hang out with Max. You will not be alone with Max." She added an article for us to read, which we'll talk a little bit about after the email. But she finishes up. Lastly, I want to shout out Brad Pitt's laugh in this movie. It's so maniacal and perfect. Also want to shout out one of my favorite movie scenes ever, the final scene. The iconic framing, that final line from Edward Norton, the way "Where Is My Mind" by the Pixies comes in. It's just so fucking cool. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about the movie. Yeah. Some of my best reading out loud. I might have to just say that right now.
You didn't stumble once.
I know.
No,
I think that
was
nap
great.
did you a lot of good.
It really did. So what'd you guys think of the email?
Loved it. Obviously, this is the type of email that I would love to get every week. If Aya wants to contribute every week, I would love it. But from the rest of you fucks listening, come on. That took Aya probably 4 minutes.
Yeah, step your game up.
Yeah. But no, it was great. And I loved a lot of the points she made. I agree with her completely that the last scene is, one of my favorites of any movie. I wouldn't say that, and we'll get to it later, but Fight Club is one of my favorite movies, but that scene is. And yeah, some of the other points and the thing, including Fincher telling his daughter not to be alone with Max anymore is absolutely perfect, because it's true. If some dude says Fight Club is my favorite movie, he either hasn't seen enough movies or he's not someone you should be hanging around with.
Yeah. And I think too, like, I mean, it could be, I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's not in my top 10 or anything like that, but there are reasons why it could be someone's list, but you have to probably preface it by explaining why you like it, because just like, oh, it's just because, Brad Pitt's so cool and everyone's so fighting. Cool. Yeah. And like, let's take down the world. Yeah. So, but no, she's right.
Yeah.
And it would have been a red flag for me probably 15 years ago. Just
probably.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah. If she met you at a very strange time in your life 15 years ago, who knows what would have happened? Robbie wouldn't have got that stamp in his passport.
Nope.
No, I would have never. Would have been wasted.
Um, Robbie, did you have any thoughts on the email, or should we get into some overall impressions and plum ratings?
No, I thought it was, eloquently written. I wouldn't expect anything less from the the First Lady Reservations, the Countess of the Cinephile. I just think that she's well versed in everything. She's well rounded, and I don't expect anything less. I thought it was a great email. I couldn't write an email like that, and I thought it was eloquent. The thing that I want to talk about, though, I guess that I'm naive or don't understand or don't have the correct definition of toxic masculinity. So, if you can divulge on that for me, please, anybody?
So I just think it's that whole attitude that Tyler has in the film about how, like, like what Ryan mentioned, consumerism is bad, and we're gonna just be men about this whole thing, beat the shit out of each other, cause chaos, and like, just be like that ultra alpha male. Like, I feel like toxic masculinity, like there's alpha male, and then like toxic masculinity is over that, when it's just so over the top and like so, you know, men rule the world and men are gonna be the ones to get us out of this. Like, us returning to our primal urges is gonna be what gets us out of this stupid consumeristic life that we lead. Like, just that, that his whole line of the things you own end up owning you, and buying all these things don't make you happy. That's where I see it in this, when it comes to this movie.
I kind of disagree. Like, I would say I wouldn't consider that part of his persona to be like toxic masculinity. I think it's toxic for sure, I guess, depending on your viewpoints of capitalism and consumerism, etc. But he definitely does display some toxic masculinity, the alpha male type shit, and controlling other people and stuff like that. I mean, I kind of always envisioned toxic masculinity as just basically like, I demand that we live life like it was the 50s, and women wait hand and foot on me, and I make all the decisions, and fuck you if you don't like it, like that. I don't know. That's how I see it. So I definitely think he has some elements to that, but I think it was intentionally very blurry because they were making this movie to be like somewhat of a satire on that toxic masculinity and stuff.
Yeah.
But
not only that, like every other movie we tend to watch, there's only one woman in it. So,
yeah,
so
I mean, we
didn't get, yeah. So, we didn't get to see, maybe Tyler's viewpoint on women, which,
right.
I mean, you kind of do. It's only one woman, but you could easily see him being very toxic in relationships. When it comes to
for
women.
sure. I mean, spoiler, if he was a real person,
right? That that side of Eddie Martin.
I know what you mean, though. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, please, we've already begged twice. Any women out there that are listening that have seen Fight Club and would like to comment on what we just said, or on Tyler Durden or whatever, please enlighten us, because we're fucking stupid idiot guys.
We don't know what toxic masculinity is, so there you go.
But yeah, so I don't know. Who wants to start with overall impressions?
I can go first. We could save
please.
The God for last, because it was his first time seeing it.
I'm so excited to hear it.
Me too. So yeah, like I mentioned during the email, this was easily one of my favorite movies. 15, 20 years ago, around when I was in high school, it was and I definitely had that outlook on it, where it was like, oh man, these guys are so cool, and fuck authority, and this is the way you should live your life. Like, yeah, like totally missing the point of the movie, and watched it so many times. Like, that's the thing, like I haven't seen any movies, but the movies I have seen, I like latch onto sometimes, and will watch them 1,000 times. So I was super interested in watching this again, because I wanted to see, like I said, after all the analysis of it and me actually being older and understanding the movie, I was excited to watch it, and it definitely hit a lot different. We texted that, Ryan, when you started watching the movie.
Yeah.
And I feel like while I loved it, when I was younger. I appreciated it more now. And, my love for it wasn't at the same level, but I definitely appreciated it more. And it went from me thinking, oh, this is so cool, to like, this dude needs help, like really bad, and like feeling bad the whole movie. So
Right.
it was definitely watching it with, brand new eyes. We talk about those 2023 eyes when we watch some of these movies.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I agree with a lot of what you said. Like, I don't think I latched onto it as much maybe as you did, but when I was younger, I definitely was like this movie is the coolest movie ever. It's like this and The Matrix, both fucking sick action movies and whatever. But watching it as a 40-plus-year-old male, like, it hit so different. Like, I appreciated a lot of the things that Fincher and the writing team and Palahniuk did with this story and satirizing a lot of things. But I definitely was like watching it and almost in some cases being like, that's kind of lame. Like,
Yeah.
okay, cool, Brad Pitt. Like, you have cool sayings. Like, I
Yeah.
definitely was like almost being like, this isn't cool anymore.
Yeah.
But it still is. I think if you asked me again, 20 years ago, my plum scale would be off the fucking, it'd be, 11, 12, whatever. It's much lower
Plum.
now. What?
Engorged plums.
Oh, so engorged, bluish hue.
Elephantitis plums.
That's right. Um, I love it for different reasons now. It's definitely doesn't hit, and maybe that's me being a fucking beaten down corporate shill now with like a family. I don't know. Like, it definitely, I was just like, all right, yeah, you hate fucking khakis. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I mean that too. Like, I'm at a point in my life where like, yeah, no, I do like the stuff that I like, this little home that I made, and like I enjoy
Right.
those things. So, I mean, I can understand the thought process behind that stuff, but I'm happy with my little life.
Yeah. No, I think if I was still poor, it would probably
Yeah.
resonate. Not
Yeah.
that I'm not poor. I mean, I'm still fucking poor. But
Yeah.
like, when you're 21 and you're working a shitty job just to get by, just to get money, beer money for the weekend, and you have a shitty boss and like all this stuff, like those things, you can relate to this movie so much more. And that's why all the space monkeys fucking latched onto Tyler Durden in this movie, because he was saying exactly what they wanted to hear. So now, please, Robbie, what did you think?
Well, I liked it. I think that I had a different perspective than you guys as you were seeing it as a 20-year-old. And it was like, fuck the world and fuck everybody and everybody's
Yeah.
out to get. I did kind of get like a little annoyed when he said, you buy things that you don't need for like people you don't care about or some shit like that, whatever he said, whatever Brad Pitt said. But I was thinking like Benny was saying, like, I like buying those sneakers. I like buying those clothes. I like buying that rice maker because that's what I like. I'm not doing it to make anybody else happy, and I don't care. So I like, but I didn't look at it from that perspective. That some of those quotes kind of pissed me off, but I looked at it more of what I thought the message was, and that was, anti-consumerism, what that marketing does to people, and making people feel a certain way. Like if you don't have the house, or if you're not married, you don't have this or you don't have that, then you're not, good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And it also played into the anti-establishment, which I'm heavy anti-establishment, but I'm not like gonna run up on the fucking Capitol and start drop kicking Nancy Pelosi's fucking podium. It's more along the lines of along the lines of where I think that politics is bullshit, and it's used to pit people up against each other. And I think that if people came together in mass, then we can do more good, But at the moment, we don't. And I think that this movie at that time period, 1999, kind of opened up like this wound of like young men, I think, and this like boiling point, and like this boiling water in a pot, and like you could see it now, like 20 years later, like with like the Proud Boys and all these people, like all these men where they're like, well, fuck the establishment, we need somebody, to rise up against them, and that's where you see like the rise of conservative politics and Trump and all these people, and I feel like it's always been there, but it took like 30 years to just fucking come to the surface. And another
Yeah.
point I want to make also, sorry, is just like Brad Pitt and his character and Ed Norton, those characters in that time frame, I don't want to say hatred, but like anger to the boomer generation, right? And even you see it, they even talk about the VW bug, like basically like that was like the flower power generation, and now they're mass marketing to our generation, while these people that were like flower power and hippies, now they're corporate bosses and just fucking pushing shit on us that we don't really want, don't really need. So it's definitely, and like we see it now, it's definitely a big millennials type boomer type dynamic that goes on till this day. So yeah, looked at it differently, but I definitely get why people, are so enthralled with this movie, especially men.
Yeah.
I'm glad you brought that point up, because like I was thinking the same thing, like thinking about guys like Charlie Kirk and Ben Shapiro, and like that's like the toxic masculinity of
Yeah.
like Ryan was saying, like let's go back to the 50s and do all that kind of stuff. So I definitely appreciate that you brought that up.
Yeah, because I don't want to keep on going, but I mean it's good
No, keep
discussion.
going.
But that's what I feel like this movie's about. Yeah, it's kind of corny with some of their lines, but I just feel like this movie I've like raised these kind of people, right? Like you said, like the 1950s, go back, woman in the kitchen. I'm the fucking man of the house. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Get me on my fucking dinner as soon as possible. Um, but you see that, and people latch onto that. Like you could see it. Like people latch onto those fucking losers, like Ben Shapiro and all those guys, and they think it's cool. And even with that dude Andrew Tate nowadays, like you see
Yeah.
these people trying to be so toxic and so masculine and so alpha, and it just brings out so many people that you didn't think were like that, and it just brings an entire generation up to think like that and act like that. And I mean, you see where it's gone. Like you've seen, like we talked about before jokingly, but you see like January 6th and all the violence that has come up and continues to come up. It's a different world, and I feel like people look to this movie maybe sometimes to as the Kickstarter. I did like the movie. I'm not shit on the movie at all, but I'm just saying like you could see where
Yeah.
the undertone
People
of
might
this
latch
movie.
on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
that's
agree.
that's the thing too. Sorry to cut you off, Ryan, but
No, go
like,
ahead.
that's the whole red flag of like why, this is your favorite movie. And, I definitely love the movie and like wanted it to be my personality when I was younger. But, when you're growing up and keeping your eyes open and like actually taking in the world around you, you realize like, yeah, I mean, that's a fun movie, but like it's a little ridiculous, and no one should act like that.
Right.
But
Yeah.
some people don't, and some people latch on.
Yeah. And I'm sure that there's probably still younger men, especially, that watch this movie and latch onto it. And I'm sure if anyone under the age of probably like 30 is listening to us or watching this, they're probably like, you old fucks. Like you're consumer shills, like you got the establishment got you and this and that. And like we would say that it didn't, but like to people younger than us, especially, and angrier than us, they would think that we definitely are. And we would say that we're not.
And I get that.
Yeah.
Weird.
And I get that. But then I would ask them, okay, so what are you doing differently about it then?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So like anybody can say what they want to say. I can
Of
say
course.
whatever. But the thing is like, okay, so what are you going to do about it then? You're just going to sit there and bitch on the internet? Well,
That's exactly what they're gonna do, Robbie.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I think the three of us, I think we're smart people. I think we know that politics is bullshit and consumerism is bullshit and marketing is bullshit, and we understand that. But there is things like that are nice to have.
Right.
A home and an apartment is nice to have. It's not the quote unquote American dream, but what the fuck else are you gonna do? You know, you strive to make good money so you can have good living. You work just to work and just to support your family, and whatever you do on the outside of that is just your way of life. I mean,
Gravy,
it just
baby.
makes it just makes its way for a lot of bitter people. But I understand the sentiment of how you guys thought of it as 15, 20-year olds. I would think of it the same way. Like, yeah, fuck the establishment, fuck them, fuck the corporate world. It's all bullshit, but it's also life.
Yeah. No, and that's how it is now, and that's how it'll be in 20 years when the new
Always.
crop of young, angry people come up. It's just how it is. So should we get into plum ratings? That was quite a conversation, but I loved it, and I expected at least that, and I'm sure we may even talk about it more. But I expected that from this movie. Who wants to go first?
Why don't you go first?
All right. So
the infamous
corporate shill.
Corporate
shill.
Mr.
IKEA himself.
Call me fuck. I actually don't own anything from IKEA, so suck a dick.
The couch I'm sitting on right now is from IKEA.
There you go.
All right, Johnny Pottery Barn over here. Why don't you go next?
Nah. Just call me Erwin R. Shyster. What a name. Maybe the best wrestling name ever.
One of the best.
So yeah, like I said before, if we did this podcast 20 years ago, which if we did, I mean, we'd be innovators, but we didn't. So I probably would have said, I don't know, somewhere in the 9s, probably. But I think now watching it this weekend, I definitely was like, I love this movie. There's so much good about it. You know, David Fincher, amazing director. Like Benny and I were saying, we read the books. I do like Chuck Palahniuk as a writer. I haven't read any of his newer stuff, but I think I'm gonna go 8.4, because it's very good, but it's not at the level of some of the other movies that we've watched recently that are much higher. Shawshank, Pulp Fiction, that kind of thing. So I'm gonna stick with 8.4.
Interesting.
Was that shocking to you?
I don't know if you saw the reaction that I gave to that.
Because,
I did. Like you, I probably would have rated it in the 9s, and again, especially after watching some of the movies we've watched in the short time doing this, that definitely had an effect on my score. And very shockingly, I went with an 8.4 for this one. So same exact score.
Wow.
There was a couple things about the movie that, watching something like Pulp Fiction and Shawshank, there were a couple of actors that like annoyed me. They weren't great. I know, it's a movie, but like shooting yourself in the head and then being able to like talk and like not bleed out immediately was kind of like, I always hated the end of the movie for that, even though we got that fantastic final shot and quote. That always kind of took me out of it a little bit, but yeah, 8.4. I mean, no need to really expound on it that much. Still liked it, enjoyed it, and especially enjoyed it watching it all these years later from a different viewpoint.
Love it.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it's a lot different, like you said, with Shawshank, which I love, and it's a story about hope and friendship, and Pulp Fiction, a story about redemption. And yeah, I don't know. There was some points in this movie where I was like, do I like this movie? But yeah, I grew to like it. Benny, same with you. It's like, how did he not? How was his brains not blown to bits? How did he shoot himself? All right. And I was like, okay. But then Brad Pitt's brain was blown out. Spoiler alert. But I understand that. I think it was 15 minutes too long. I love the Finch. Social Network's in my top 3 movies of all time. I absolutely loved Social Network. Everything about it. I could watch that fucking 50 times a year. So I'm gonna go and similar to like the IMDb, I'm gonna go 8.6 for Fight Club. I thought that it was a good movie with a good message. Great acting by Brad Pitt, Edward Norton, and Helena Bonham Carter. I thought they were fantastic in this movie, especially Brad Pitt. Not that many people in the movie annoyed me. There was one dude that annoyed me, but everybody else was fairly good, and I did like some of the. There were a lot of laugh out loud moments and a lot of good dialogue in this movie, which kept me going.
Quick question: is this Brad Pitt's best acting performance?
Oh,
honestly,
it could be.
I really, I was thinking about that. I would have to go probably this number one. I think so, and I think maybe like Moneyball too, and
I was gonna say Moneyball,
and what the fuck is that called? Once Upon a Time in Hollywood 3, and
yeah.
whoever he was in The Big Short 4. He was great in this movie, man. I love Brad Pitt.
Oh, you know what? I think maybe 12 Monkeys might be his best. Have you guys ever seen that movie?
No.
That's a fucking movie right there. He just plays like a fucking psychopath in that movie. Very good. Maybe we'll watch that someday. But yeah, I think you guys are right.
I think too, like I mentioned, that maniacal laugh is just so yeah, it's just so good. It's so good.
I know this is like a stupid one to say, but I really love him in Ocean's 11.
No, he's great in that movie.
I love him in that movie.
I love how he's always just eating something in every scene.
No, no, he's a great actor. He's in a lot of good things. That movie Bullet Train he was good in. Just
yeah, that was good.
The fuck else has he been in? That
you guys anybody watch Dave?
Oh, The Inglourious Bastards, guys, come on.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Oh man. Stupid question. Why did I ask that?
You're stupid.
But we did get this conversation about Brad
He
Pitt,
was good in Burn After Reading. Did you guys ever see that movie?
No.
Oh, he was fantastic in Meet Joe Black.
Yep.
I didn't see that. I made that up. I think I would fucking watch Meet Joe Black.
Oh, Snatch. Did you guys ever see Snatch?
Snatch as well.
Snatch. I watched once, again, probably around the same time as I was watching this movie. And I don't think I understood one word of that movie. So I need to rewatch it with subtitles at some point.
Oh,
Snatch
and
was
7.
Awesome.
Oh,
I've never seen 7.
You never seen
We got to
7?
watch that at some point.
Yeah.
I know the ending, so don't worry about it.
Shit.
You're the worst.
I'm a big spoil guy.
What'd you do? Look it up Wikipedia?
Yeah, I spoil myself. That's just what I do.
I'll do that sometimes, like if I'm watching a show and I'm like, I hate it, but I want to know what happens. I'll just stop watching and just read the plot summary.
Yeah, I do that when I'm like watching a documentary on Netflix. I'm like, this sucks. And then I just go to Wikipedia and I find out what happens in 5 minutes.
So all right, good plum scales. I kind of figured it'd be in that realm. I still cannot wait for a movie for like one of us to really fucking hate and give it a shitty score. I'm sure one day it will happen.
Yeah.
But if we fucked up, please let us know. Send us an email or comment on our fucking Instagram or something like Bartmeister, that fuck.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
That was the closest we've all been on one movie.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Fuck you, Bartmeister.
Oh fuck, he was probably in Washington on January 6th with that program.
Oh, he definitely was. He definitely was.
Fucking loser. So let's talk about characters. Should we start with favorite or least favorite?
We'll say
favorite.
Oh, let's go. Let's go
first. You said it first.
The same thing happened last week too.
I know. You said it first. We'll go least.
I think we should let Robbie go first.
Yes,
please, Robbie.
Okay, so this is gonna be quick. I can't find him. I'm trying to find him on IMDb. It's that fucking douchebag that was outside of the house waiting to get in. The first guy,
the young kid.
The young kid. He just sucked as an actor. And all it is to me is just if you suck as an actor, you're making this list. I'm checking it twice. I don't give a fuck if you're naughty or nice. I didn't like this fucking guy. I forgot his name. but
Was he
he
the one?
stunk.
Was he the mechanic? Is that him?
No.
No, the mechanic. That's my man from Mindhunter.
Oh, okay.
It's the guy that's outside the first.
I know which guy you're talking about. I was just trying to find him. The guy who comes out and tells Angel Face he's too blonde.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's ripping fucking poor Robert Paulson.
Yeah.
His name is Robert Paulson. Yeah, so that's my guy. I don't know your name, but you suck and you annoyed me. And don't yell at Jared Leto. The guy's got a face of a fucking god, please.
Jared Leto seems like such a douche.
He's very, very strange fucking guy in my so-called life.
Benny, you want to go or do you want me to go?
Sure, I'll go.
ahead.
My least favorite character is the mechanic and
Wow.
Holt McCallany. And he like I liked Mindhunter too, but I always felt like he was kind of a shitty actor. Like not shitty. He's okay, but he's just not up to the level that I wanted him to be at in Mindhunter because Jonathan Groff was so awesome. All the other actors are so awesome in Mindhunter. He was just like, I don't know, he's just not at that next level that I wanted him to be at. But in this movie, he was even a little bit greener, I feel like, and just like a lot of deadpan delivery and no emotion and stuff like that. Which I mean, it's kind of the point in this movie, but it just didn't hit for me. So he kind of annoyed me. So I went with the mechanic as my least favorite character. Sorry, Robbie.
That's okay. Hey, he was like that in Mindhunter too. I felt like just deadpan.
Yeah,
With Jonathan Groff all day.
all day, twice on Sunday when I'm watching Hamilton back to back.
You say
Hamilton.
Yeah, we should rewatch Hamilton and give me a fucking 15 across the board.
For a long time, I was very loud about hating Lin-Manuel Miranda. I think my hate is gone. I might actually like him now.
Why? Because he makes your son docile.
He makes my son. He makes a lot of movies that my son likes.
Yeah.
Moana, fucking Encanto, love it. Anyway, my least favorite character is probably the guy who sprays the priest with the hose. Listen, I'm no man of God, but you don't spray people with a hose. That's not nice. He's just trying to get to fucking church. He got his Bible all wet.
I was gonna say when he like attacked the Bible with the hose, I was laughing.
It was funny though. He knocks it out of his fucking hand and sprays it. I just picked him because I didn't really have a good choice. And he was the first one that came to my brain.
Love it.
Yeah. So since I went last, I'll go first. My most favorite character is gonna surprise you.
Uh-oh.
It is Marla Singer. I fucking stole it. Listen, Edward Norton and Brad Pitt are both fucking amazing in this movie. And, I love Ed Norton in a lot of things. I love Brad Pitt and Tyler Durden and the narrator / Jack / Rupert / Cornelius. Amazing characters. But I don't know. Marla she kind of makes the movie go a little bit. She's the one who basically makes the narrator realize that he's Tyler. She's the one who fucks him up as being a tourist. They fall in love. But just her character in general is just so interesting. So that's why I picked Marla. Just some of the shit that she would just walking into traffic, not giving a fuck, stealing clothes, just ripping cigs nonstop.
Heavy cigs.
Absolutely ripping them. And some of the shit she would say, like, I've been fucked like that since grade school. Just some of the wild shit she would say, but it just very interesting character. And I find it also hard to split up the narrator and Tyler because they are the same person technically. Yeah. So that's why I went with Marla. Benny, I hope you have a backup.
I do.
Real quick, sorry.
Oh, please go ahead.
the original line was, "I want to have your abortion," I think.
Yes.
And Finch and the exact or whoever said to David Finch is like, "You got to cut that out." He's like, he goes, "I'll cut it out, but you can't say no to the next thing," or something like that.
That's awesome.
And that was worse than the abortion line.
Yeah, it was like he purposefully made it worse.
Yeah. Yeah, no, you stole my pick. I just want to touch on it real quick before I give my answer. But
yeah,
I love her as an actress.
of course.
Especially like she has. But I know she's a beautiful woman. I'm not saying anything, but she just has that strange look to her, and it fits so well in this movie. And like you could have done any number of like A-list 10 out of 10 smoke show actresses, and like it wouldn't have hit the same, because she just has that unique look to her, and she always plays that off-kilter person. So I thought she was perfectly casted for this movie. And like you said, Ryan, she you see that soft side to her too. Like she's like that, has that hard and exterior shell, but the way that Tyler / narrator is fucking with her the whole time, even though he doesn't realize it, the way she plays that, I think is just so good. But my backup pick will be Edward Norton as the narrator. I love him in this movie. I think between this and Rounders, they were like, honestly, if I wasn't watching one movie, I was watching the other, I think, at this point in my life. So
do you think you were a gambler?
I did. I played a lot of poker. I thought I was gonna, I was gonna be a mechanic in poker and be dealing from the bottom of the deck. But I think he's awesome as an actor. Notoriously kind of a weird dude, right? Or like puts people off.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's got kind of a little bit of an ego or something like that.
Very hard to work with.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah. But I just love, especially this, once he finds out that he's got the split personality, just the way he plays that and the manicness in him, I just think he's great. So he's my backup pick.
Well, nobody saw mine, so thank God. And this is just because of how he played it. Not because I have an alter ego and really want to be this character. And but my favorite character is Brad Pitt, Tyler Durden. I thought he was just amazing. He made the movie for me. If it wasn't for him, I don't know how long I would stay in it. Just the charisma that he has on the screen, man. I mean, he's just the character Tyler Durden. Brad Pitt's so fucking cool. The guy was wearing a teapot like robe, and I'm like, this guy's fucking this guy can wear anything. He's got the fucking shirt, he's got the sunglasses, he's got the red leather jacket. I mean, he could do whatever he want, but like I could see why people would latch on to this character and his sayings and his sentiments and how they felt at the time of this movie, and fuck the establishment. But he's just shredded to the gills. It's very I guess superficialist pick for me, but I just thought he carried the movie, man. I mean, most of my favorite scenes was Brad Pitt based, Tyler Durden based. I just, his little monologues here and there, but I just love the way that Brad Pitt acted. I mean, he fucking dominated this movie, and he made the movie for me. Everything about it. And one thing I just hate is like when somebody can just look so good in any pair of clothes, and it just annoys me because I can never get that. And I think I've been striving for that my entire life. And maybe I'm just because I'm like too short, but there's this guys that can just pull it off, and he's one of them.
Well, the two outfits I think about when you say that is the suit that he's wearing when he's on the plane. That's like so vintage and like should not work for anybody anymore outside of the 1960s and 70s. And then at the end, when he's got the buzz cut and he's wearing that huge jacket, I don't remember if he doesn't have a shirt under it, or he's got that tank top, but it's just the most outlandish stuff, but he just makes it look so friggin' cool. And, it's hard not to get the engorged plums when you're looking at that man on your screen.
Oh my God. I had to put a pillow between my plums.
You had to ice them down.
Right? Ice the plums.
Robbie, you look sharp as fuck in everything you wear. All right.
That's
oh,
true.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Well, catch me next time with fucking oversized coat, like a fucking crop top and big red glasses.
You could pull it off.
You think so?
It's all about confidence, babe.
Yeah, you're right. All right.
You could do it.
He has no lack of confidence in this movie. And that's too,
No.
like, not to the people in the movie because they see Edward Norton, but to the people that latch on to the movie. Sometimes it's not even the message, but the messenger, and like how fucking cool he is in this movie. I think that's what like people, can latch on to as well.
Yeah. Listen, charismatic people, that's why they're cult leaders and politicians and like shit like that. Like, because people latch on to cool or interesting people. I mean, some politicians are fucking lame as fuck, but
Yeah.
you get what I'm saying.
If you're listening, Ted Cruz, we're talking about you, buddy.
So charismatic. Yeah. So, I don't think, have we ever done a least favorite scene first? Should we do that?
We could do that.
Yeah, let's do it.
I'll go first on this because I
Please.
want to go last.
Oh,
I want to go last on the favorite scene
favorite. Yeah, I know.
because I got a few.
Okay.
My least favorite scene. I'm gonna go him. All right, I'm gonna go with him at the narrator at the testicular cancer group.
Support
Just
group.
because I have such an irrational fear of all things cancer, so it always makes me feel weird. And plus, while I love Meatloaf in the movie, like the whole him burying his face in the titties always makes me feel weird, and it's just such an odd scene for me. Not that I think it's a bad scene, but it's just the one that I don't like the most. So yeah, it always makes me anything when people talk about cancer and all that stuff, it always makes me feel awkward and thinking about getting your balls lopped off. Not great. So that's my least favorite.
Surprised that you wouldn't want to put your face in between some titties, Penny.
Well, I want to put my face in between Meatloaf's real titties, not the face one, the
That's
fake
true.
ones.
That's true.
That's what blew it for me.
Yeah.
May he rest in peace.
Please.
Oh, that's
respectfully.
right.
Yeah.
Oh man. All right.
I didn't realize how many movies he was in.
He's in some things.
Yeah.
Good for him. Also, meatloaf is a quality dish. Every once in a while, we had it like last week. It was good.
Yeah, it's the fucking best.
Yeah, only homemade though.
Yeah, only homemade.
Yeah. Robbie, you want to go next? You want me to?
What was my least favorite scene? Fuck, I forgot. I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Ryan, you can go, please.
All right. I don't know why this scene was jumping out to me. At the during this last rewatch, but the scene at the bar when they're his apartment blew up and they're just talking and whatever. I felt like while the lines that Brad Pitt was saying were like good, they felt like they were shoved in there because they were like everyone was hanging out thinking about cool lines to say in this movie, and they kind of like shoved some of them in. So he's like, I say, do this and like be different, always improve, and like I don't know, for some reason it didn't ring true to me. It just felt like they were shoving lines in, and maybe it's because I mean, he's not a real person, like, so it's these phrases that Ed Norton is manifesting. So I'm almost like talking myself out of it right now, but I'll stick with that just because I have to make a choice.
I'm gonna have to go with, and because this scene was just very painful to watch. I think when the narrative kicks the shit out of Jared Leto, that was
that was tough.
That was painful to watch because you saw that and you just saw him getting his ass kicked and the blood everywhere. I think that's my least favorite scene because of that. It was pretty gruesome to watch. I mean, seeing Meatloaf's skull not there was also gross. But I didn't really have like a least favorite scene. And I just feel like I feel like all the movies that we watched so far, it wasn't like a scene where I was like, this scene fucking sucks. It was scenes that were like, with Brooks hanging himself and Tarantino just sucking at acting. But other than that, it wasn't like I hated these scenes. But this was a tough one to watch, just seeing him get the shit kicked out of him over and over again.
Yeah.
Especially
I agree.
that
That face.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
was
right.
nothing. There were no scenes that stuck out to me of like, I don't like this scene.
Right.
They were all help the story go forward. I can understand what you were saying, Ryan, about that scene, but maybe it was things that he was just manifesting and always had in the back of his mind of the doubts of the way he was living his life and the the personal guilt he felt about
Yeah.
being so consumer heavy.
No
But
matter what happens, the sofa situation is handled.
yeah,
It's just like, I don't know. It just like seemed weird. But yeah, I think that's what they were trying to do, is just like put that in there and get this manifestation of this cool ass person on the screen, and whatever. Because then, I mean, the very next scene's amazing. Hit me as hard as you can.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
so good.
And let's be honest, you're never going to buy one couch for the rest of your life, no matter how good it is. That
No,
thing's getting replaced at some point.
my couch is a fucking nightmare right now. I can't wait to replace it, but it's gonna get ruined the second I buy one, so I'm gonna hold on to it.
Yeah. All right. Favorite scenes.
Oh,
Robbie,
so Benny, you want to go first?
I want to go last.
I know, I'm joking.
Uh, I got a couple of mentions, but this scene stuck out to me the first time and the only time I watched the movie. It was the chemical burn scene.
Great scene.
That was my favorite scene of the movie. I don't know why it was my favorite scene in the movie. I just love the intensity of it, of just Brad Pitt and everything he was saying to Ed Norton, the narrator in the scene. I'm doing a bad job because I can't really expound on it, but something about that scene I just love. Everything about Tyler Durden and Brad Pitt's characters always trying to deliver a message about, I don't know, how fucked up life is, and every second. I think that was Ed Norton who said that, the narrator. What, every minute that passes or something like that. I'm doing a bad job at that, but whatever.
Okay, you only watched it once, man.
The chemical burn scene is my favorite scene, and that's fucking that.
I mean, I don't want to take it because it's such the easy choice. It's maybe the biggest chalk scene of all the movies we've watched, but the last scene with the buildings exploding, the Pixies playing. I mean, Aya mentioned it in her email. Ed Norton, you met me at a very strange time in my life. Like, I'm getting chills thinking about it right now because it's that good of a scene. And there's a lot of other ones, but I'm gonna pick that one just because of everything that I will love about this movie. That will endure, no matter how old and fucking corporate and fucking privileged I get. I'll still think of that scene and love it.
Love that. Few to pick from here, but I'm gonna maybe go a little weird on this pick and say one of my favorite scenes and my favorite scene is the morning after Marla sleeps over for the first time.
Yeah.
And you're first starting to get that, like,
something's weird.
Yeah, something's weird here. And they're laying those first clues that Tyler is the narrator. And I just love, it's almost like a stage play where Marla leaves and then Tyler comes in, and then Tyler leaves and Marla comes back in. And then he makes that comment of like, they never seem to be in the same room. And my parents pulled this act flawlessly for, 15 years or whatever. And, just the way she's reacting to the thing, Marla's reacting to the things that Ed Norton is saying, like I said, they're planting that seed that something's off here. And we're off to the races as far as like the whole schizophrenia thing is going. So I always love that scene, and I just think that's played so perfectly.
Agree. You want to do your Ani Mentions, Benny? or Robbie?
Robbie, give me an Ani Mensch.
My Ani Mensch is the pick a fight with a stranger scene.
Yeah.
I thought that was fucking very funny. I thought that was cool. I enjoyed that. Yeah, I thought that was just a fun little fucking anecdote in a movie of a pretty serious movie and some serious scenes. So I thought that was cool, just trying to pick a fight. The priest, the guy just splashing water on everybody. Yeah, that was
The
one
guy
of
at
my
the car
favorite scenes.
dealership.
Yeah, chasing him around.
Yep,
That was fucking funny. So that was one of my favorite scenes.
agree.
Uh, one
Go
of my
ahead, Ben.
Ani one of my Ani mentions is, and I definitely wouldn't put this in contentions for my favorite scene, but I just love when they're talking about Tyler being the projector guy at the theater and how he splices in the porn or whatever, and then they do that, the thing with the cigarette burns, and he points to the screen like right when the cigarette burn comes up. Um, I love that. But did you notice, Robbie, the subliminal images during the beginning of the movie?
The the flickering?
Yeah,
I did.
there was a couple of Tyler Durden's that popped up in the first, I guess, like half hour of the movie or so, and then they dropped in the dick at the end of the movie
That
too.
was
Like,
fucking that made me laugh so much when I saw that dick at the end.
yeah. So that's one of my Ani mentions. Ryan, you got any?
But
Yeah,
Ryan,
well,
sorry, Ryan.
go ahead.
But you were saying like that was one of my favorite endings in a movie ever. Just
Yeah.
the way the Pixies come in as the buildings are crumbling to the ground it just is amazing. I loved it. The song choice, I mean, perfect. A plus, home run. It's one of the greatest endings to a movie with that song put in I've ever seen.
Yeah, it might be like one of the, if not the best, but the best like music cinematic pairing like ever. And it was funny because I was thinking how funny it would be to like put in another Pixies song because it's Pixies. Here comes your man, and then bam, 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 bam. Like that would just been so funny. But before I give an honorable mention, I realized I do have a least favorite scene, and it's not the guy spraying the priest with the hose. That I actually like that scene. It's when Brad Pitt is fucking with all the food because nothing pisses me off more than people fucking with food. Don't do that shit. That's disgusting.
Yeah, you're a real scumbag if you do
Real
that.
scumbag. And
Yeah.
that's, like seeing that and like the fact that he was, maybe this is now the father in me, but like splicing porn into family movies, like, dude, that's fucked up. Like, you can't
I
do
like
that shit.
I love how it happens, and then they cut to that one. I think it was a
Yeah.
girl,
She's
and she
just
just like
crying.
she takes a second and then just starts bawling.
Yeah. Like that shit. Like, I get it. You're like, you fuck the establishment and like, whatever.
Yeah,
And
but don't
I'm
fuck
not,
with kids.
yeah, don't fuck with kids. Don't fuck with people's food. Like, you want to blow up a Starbucks or like a fucking corporate art or like whatever. Like, go ahead. That doesn't bother me, but I don't like that shit. Um, but yeah, I mean, a couple Ani mentions. I'll give one to start. I think um the first fight scene between Tyler and the narrator. And then just for whatever reason, the end when they're just sitting there together, sharing a beer, and they're just like, that was fun. We should do that again. Love that scene. I don't know if you guys have any more.
I do. So I have a good bookend to that.
Yeah.
And it's the last time that they're sitting together
Yeah.
in the hotel room when he like says, you're me and all that kind of stuff. And just that conversation that they have and
I think
spilling yeah. And then spilling into the final fight scene that they have, when he's in the van trying to disconnect the wire and just all the little things that Tyler is saying to him. And he's like, yeah, but what if I knew you were going to think about the green wire? So I was thinking about that the whole time.
Right.
And then he disarms the bomb. They go outside of the van and Tyler starts kicking the shit out of him and he shoots the gun at the van. And he's like, whoa, you are now firing a gun at your imaginary friend.
Yeah.
So just that whole like last fight scene that they have is so fun. And it's like Brad Pitt, like at his, most maniacal. And it's just fun to watch him like that, like just going off the deep end and just that whole and building up until the final scene is great.
I also liked seeing. Go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I don't know why this reminded me of it, but it did. I liked seeing how big this got how big Fight Club / Project Mayhem got. And by that time, when we see Brad Pitt again, when Ed Norton finally like realizes what's going on, he's like a cult leader at this point where has infiltrated everything. The cops at the police station, the waiter at the restaurant they're at, clean food, please. Just whatever. And then I even remember from one of the few things I remember from the book is actually the ending is different. The narrator wakes up in a mental institution, not hanging out with Marla, watching buildings explode. And it turns out some of the employees of the mental hospital are members of Fight Club / Project Mayhem. So it's just, it was just, it was cool, but scary to see like how big it got. And like, it almost had some echoes to me of like what we talked about earlier, and like all the underground quote unquote groups that are assembling around the country these days.
Some of the members of the police are in it and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, whatever.
My last Ani Mensch, I don't want to go all night with this, but is the scene where Lou comes into the basement of the bar.
I was going to mention that. Yeah, come on, Lou.
Yeah. Oh man, that was just so fucking good. Again, that's where we get I think that's the first time we get the maniacal laugh from Brad Pitt, and just the way he's like, every time he hits him, he's like, I don't think I got it. I need it one more time.
I forgot.
Yeah. And when he's like, yeah, okay. No, I lost it. I lost it, Lou. And then just the way he fucking jumps on top of him and like sprays the blood all over him, and he just goes full.
You don't know where I've been.
Yeah, he goes full psycho on him, and then Lou backs down and lets him keep it. Such a great scene, man. Such a great scene.
It's so crazy thinking, because they don't show all these scenes, but thinking that it was actually the narrator doing all this shit.
Yeah,
like it's crazy to think that, and how different. Like think about almost how different it would have appeared to other people. That because Ed Norton was like kind of frail, like unassuming, just Sarah Plain and Tall type of shit. Whereas Brad Pitt is hot as fuck and like cool and whatever. So I just feel like maybe it would have been even more captivating to see this scrawny type of just regular ass dude doing all this crazy shit. Like maybe that's why everyone was so, into it.
Yeah. And it's weird to think of too, you mentioned the scene with the cops. On some level, he knew the whole time he was both people, because he was constantly setting that. He's putting those Tyler was putting those fail safes in. We're like, oh, you said you would say that.
Yeah, so Tyler knew, but the narrator didn't. Yeah. I know what you're saying. Yeah, you definitely said you'd say that.
Yeah.
I like when he goes to that one bar finally, and he's like, the guy in his fucking traction, he's just like, this isn't a test, is it?
Yeah.
Robbie, you got any more Ani Menches?
Yeah, that's that just generic Brad Pitt scene down in the basement when he gives his little speech. How everybody's they're lied to about they want to become, rock stars and millionaires, and when they finally realize that they're not going to become these people that, they were sold, then that's when they freak out and that's when they get angry, which is kind of true, I think. And I think that's the funny part. Like, I don't know. I when he says they had no Great War,
no Great Depression,
like the depression is in our minds. I get that, but it's like, do you need a war to like make you feel like more of a man or accomplished? Like that's the things that I'm glad that didn't happen to. I mean, obviously you look at the Afghanistan, Iraqi war, like that, but I'm glad that shit didn't happen to our generation or things like that.
Instead, we got 2 recessions.
Yeah, I mean,
and a shit ton of student loan debt.
A shit ton of student loan debt.
And that's what you can look at with this movie. That's why get people are pissed off, because you were sold as to, go to college, take out loans, get good jobs, get the good pay, and that doesn't happen. And people fucking realize that, and they're angry, which they have every right to be angry, because you sold a bill of goods and nothing comes out of it. And you even look at it now. It's like you buy a home. Okay, interest rates are up. Housing's the prices aren't going down. Nobody has money for a down payment. It's all this bullshit that I feel like our generation is up against, where you have to hear the boomer generation saying, well, pull up the old bootstraps.
That's right.
Like while they bought
Go
their
in
houses.
and give that manager a firm handshake.
Yeah.
And say, I'm not coming back until I get a job.
That's the thing. Yeah. Personally walk your resume up when I first started. Like, so it's always opportunities that they had, and they flipped the script and changed the game. And we're, on the receiving end of working hard for less pay and, going through all these things. So I understand why people get upset and shit like that. And
Oh yeah,
it's a definitely a weird dynamic. And I think that what we say as millennials and older people are true. It's not like we're bitter. We bust our fucking ass every day. We work hard. We try to live a good life. And sometimes you just get the short end of the stick. And for those people to tell you things and to tell you just to work a little harder while they went to college for a couple of fucking Buffalo nickels, I don't want to. I just don't want to hear it. You're all fucking hypocrites, and you just need to shut the fuck up.
I agree. And I think, like I said in the beginning, I've been softened in the last few years and not because I got lucky. I mean, I worked hard for it, but if I was still struggling and wasn't so lucky, like I would definitely still be angry and probably still latch on to some of the messaging of this movie in a different way than I do now. And I'm not saying that people that do latch onto it are wrong, or that I'm wrong for not, or whatever. I think there's a lot of beliefs out there. There's a lot of a wide spectrum of people's successes and failures. So it's like, I get why people did this, and I understand why myself at a younger age, when I was struggling, latched onto this. But I'm just at a different place in my life, so I saw it differently. But everything you said is right, Robbie.
Yeah, it's like those days of like, and I don't want to go on a fucking anti-America rant, but those days of like 30 years at a job, working there, and those days are over. And
Right.
who knows what's going to happen in the future with, the threat of AI and all these things. So it's a tough time for people, and people just trying to do their best, and they don't want to hear somebody who had every opportunity in the world tell them what to do and what not to do. Like,
I know. And next week I could get laid off and be fucking angry as fuck.
Of course, man. It's just, yeah, and that's the kind of fear that everybody lives in, being laid off or losing your home and all these things. And it's a tough thing, but we still get up and do it every single day. So I give our generation a lot of fucking credit for never giving up and always working hard and always, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel or holding out hope. So if any boomers are listening, go fuck yourselves. But we love you too. And like and subscribe too.
It's gonna be a rough week in that house, I'm telling you right now.
Oh, they get it. They get it. So they know where I'm coming from.
Robbie 2024.
Yeah. And if you're listening, Brass Master, that's for you too. Go fuck yourself. Whoever that guy was that fucking told us to go scratch.
He was
Braden
probably
Frog,
a fucking troll.
Yeah, no, he was. Sorry, I went on a little anti-establishment rant, but hey, I'm passionate about that stuff.
That's cool.
I would follow you to the ends of the earth and blow up financial buildings.
Yeah.
Let's eliminate some credit card debts. We all live fucking scot-free.
That'd be nice.
It's all in the fucking cloud now.
I know, you can't. It wouldn't work now.
No.
So in different data centers across the fucking United States.
Well, can't you just like shoot some like rockets into the clouds to
yes.
Oh, that's true. Yes. They have to be nuclear missiles though.
Yeah.
As our Prez said about the hurricanes?
That's right. They're literal clouds where all the data is.
Yeah.
So is there anything that you can think of that you would be able to do to make this movie better? I don't know. This might be a tough one. While it at least for me, while it may not have scored as high as some of the other movies, I don't really know if I have any, because it's just such a unique movie. I've said it a number of times. I'm not smart enough to make this better with such a unique plot and characters and stuff like that. So I don't know if I have anything. Hopefully you guys do. Maybe I'll expound on that.
I do. The only thing I would make different is I mentioned it, early on, is the gunshot to the head that, and it's such a stupid nitpick to have because it's, I guess it's a movie. It's
right.
It's a crazy story to begin with. So like of all the things, but I just wish that there was another way because for some reason, man, that's just the thing that like takes me out of it, especially after like such a solid build to the end and then the amazing ending of the movie. I always spend like 5 minutes thinking about like, come on, man, like this isn't like he's fine. He's just cool. He just shot himself in the head and he's good, regardless if it came out the cheek or whatever. But yeah, I'm heavily nitpicking here, but that's the one thing to me that always takes me out of this movie, and I wish we could change somehow.
Well, I think that's a good nitpick. I mean, how many people do survive a fucking bullet hole to the cheek? But maybe, I don't know.
I feel like that would wreck his teeth too, like with the gun, like the recoil. Jesus.
Yeah, like, and just the fact that he's fine, like not he shot himself in the head, but he survived because they got him to the hospital quick enough. Like he shot himself, had a little bit of a sore throat for like 2 sentences, and then was just good. But yeah, I'm nitpicking, but that's what I always come back to with this movie.
Yeah, he was getting some gauze. They were getting gauze from him, so he was all right.
That's right. I forgot.
Yeah, they're getting the gauze.
Yeah. It'd be cool. And this isn't like make it better, but like almost like spin-off esque. But to see this movie from Marla's perspective, like I think that'd be cool. And maybe she even has a split personality, so there could be 4 of them.
Nice.
Getting Christopher Nolan to direct that one.
Yeah, right. Jesus. Robbie, you got anything?
Yeah, like I said before, maybe trim the fat a little bit, 15 minutes. Maybe make it like
the liposuction fat?
Yeah, to make the soap.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe more scenes about making soap. That was a cool scene. And maybe like less testicular cancer meeting groups. You could have trimmed a couple of meeting groups down a little bit. We need a tuberculosis meeting group. You could have calmed that down.
They definitely could have. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And all types of toys.
That was all broken up.
That's when the woman goes up to the microphone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so
I have all different types of lubes and pornography.
Yeah. I was hoping she got laid.
The skeleton of Meryl Streep.
Yeah. Shit. I just had something and now I lost it. Fuck.
Sorry, I screamed into the microphone.
No, that's okay.
Testicular cancer, tuberculosis, meeting groups.
Fuck. I don't know. I mean, this is definitely because of the age we live in, but I did not love the scene with him talking about shooting up the office.
Oh yeah.
That was a little rough.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a good scene the way he acted it, but I was like, ooh.
Yeah. That and the him. We forgot to mention the scene of him beating the shit out of himself in front of his boss.
That was a good scene. I love that.
That was a good scene. That was very well acted.
Yeah. So should we play America's favorite and fastest growing game?
Hey, less.
Who would we cast with a young Matt Damon to make this movie better? Robbie.
Oh, that's tough, man. I'm gonna have to go with the guy that I hated it from the beginning, whoever that guy was outside on the front porch for about 15 days. Okay. I didn't like him at all. You just put Matt Damon in that role, you give him a little bit, make him Tyler and the narrator's left and right hand man, I guess, since they're dual personalities.
Yeah.
And you just have him be like a little more of a leader and get everybody into the cold. I would have taken Matt Damon as young Matt Damon, fit, shredded, already was about to be, wanted for this role anyway. A little casting, what if Matt Damon was considered? So get him in a role as a little bystander in the background and have him do some damage here and there, because the guy would have acted his ass off. And that guy, even though he was in a couple scenes, just really fucking annoyed me.
Agree.
Ryan?
I'm gonna go ahead and cast the young, maybe not as shredded, but a little more emaciated Matt Damon in the role of Chloe, begging for sex at the support group.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have had to beg.
He ain't too proud to beg either.
They would have been fucking smashing and dashing.
That's right. Benny, you got any?
So imagine a young Matt Damon fresh out of MIT,
Oh,
rise in the ranks in the corporate world.
okay.
And he's just got this young, or not a young, he's got this disgruntled employee who's coming in all bloodied at work, and he's leaving weird things in the photocopier, making vague threats about shooting up the office.
Sending haikus to everybody.
Yeah, give me young Matt Damon as Richard Chesler, the regional manager of the office. This is no knock on Zach Grenier Grenier. I thought he was good in the role, but give me Matt Damon as the manager of the movie, because those scenes between Eddie Norton and young Matt Damon would have been electric, and I would have loved to see that.
Some would say Rounders-esque.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. That's why you're you. A little
reunited. It feels so good.
Yeah.
Little peaches and herbs.
That's right. Make a managerial decision.
Or how about you just don't bring me every little stupid thing that comes across your desk?
Yeah. And you know what's funny? Speaking of that piece of paper, we did not once talk about the rules of Fight Club.
Well, you're not supposed to talk about it, baby.
That's true. That's why we did it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we need to talk about with this delightful film?
I feel good. I think we said it all. Had some serious conversations. We've had some fun conversations. We have Matt Damon.
Anytime we talk about Matt Damon, that's a good conversation in my book.
That's a great fucking day.
Imagine, and I know it's highly unlikely, but imagine we do make a little noise in the podcast world and it somehow gets to Matt Damon's desk that we're casting him in all these fucking.
He'd love it. He'd come on the show.
Oh, he'd come on.
Matt, I know you're listening. Come on, bring your buddy Matt, Ben Affleck. We'll talk.
Yeah, you got nothing to do. I mean, hey, and I know we're bringing this up way late in the podcast, but that everyone's on strike. Come watch old movies with us.
Yeah.
Subscribe, follow. We'll get you through the strike. And Matt, you got plenty of time.
Plenty of time. Come hang out with us. We'll talk about Dogma. Great film that you're in. Someone brought that up. Was that Aya the other day?
Yeah. We'll do a fucking Matt Damon month, babe.
I'll do it.
Matt Damon fucking decade.
Yeah. Let's change the name of this podcast to the Matt Damon podcast.
Not you, Sean. Not you, Sean. Oh my God. Please. Fucking I'll rewatch that fucking Tears Galore. Dust City in this house. Get the Dust Buster out.
Every time that movie's on, I'll watch it. Every time. I fucking love that movie.
It's the fucking best, man.
Robin Williams is the fucking best.
That's probably that might be my number one favorite scene in any movie. That bench scene.
It's amazing.
Amazing.
And it's so fucking true. And I think about it in my life, not often, but often enough where I'm like, experiences really make you who you are versus, like you said, I could read anything in some fucking book.
Yeah.
Yeah. But here we are looking up plot summaries so we don't have to watch the fucking things.
That counts as reading.
It's true. Whatever
I do, know what the Sistine Chapel smells like? I'll look up the fucking spoilers for fucking the Bernie Madoff documentaries.
That's right. I'm sure we could find out what it smells like from the internet anyway.
That's true. I can look it up right now.
Yeah.
Siri, what does the Sistine Chapel smell like?
Toast. Weird.
Old pizza.
Oh, I'm going then.
Yeah.
Well, hope if you lasted this long, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed our political commentary on Fight Club, as well as all the stuff we talked about. But if we missed anything, please let us know. LTBW podcast at gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram. See all the cool posts we make, mostly Benny. And hopefully we'll see Bartmeister again in the comments.
Suck it, Bartmeister.
Suck
Come
it,
at me,
dick.
bro.
So yeah, thanks for listening. We love you. Robbie, tell him good night.
Good night, toxic masculinity, or good morning.
With enough soap, one could blow up just about anything.
You're not your fucking khakis.